Ozi v'zimrat Yah, vayili liyeshua. Ozi v'zimrat Yah, vayili liyeshua. Join me. Ozi v'zimrat Yah, vayili liyeshua. Ozi v'zimrat Yah, vayili liyeshua. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to our first summer service in a long time. I love the intimate group. You know, sitting outside. We're calling us in the garden room, which I'm sure we will be in sometimes this summer. But I always love the intimate group that makes up the summer services and how everybody supports one another with love and raises each other up, challenges each other to lead with their best self. It's just really wonderful. And I was very excited to share this space, the leadership of this service, with one of my greatest fans, Lindsay Belisle. I talked about her yesterday. I was so excited, and in the Friday video, I've known her since she's 12 years old. She was actually the first house I stayed at, and I remember her sitting next to me and her little brother next to me, and I had 4 guitars with me because everybody in my family has a guitar, and was teaching them how to play the guitar that I, don't play very well myself. But we had a great time, and she's just, she has a golden voice and a golden spirit, and that golden voice of hers is sick right now. So you're all going to be Lindsay tonight, okay? That's your job. One of our greatest yearnings in life, I believe, is to connect to a higher purpose, to feel a sense of awe and wonder and awakening. And at its best, prayer and ritual do just that. Prayer allows us to be vulnerable, to truly show up in all our fullness, to move us in a relentless pursuit of God and of the unknown. Prayer at its best equals the promise of possibility. And I'm not just talking about the words on the page. So we have those prayer books back in our hands again. I'm not just talking about those words per se, although they are a tool for sure in our quest for wholeness. What I'm talking about more is the personal prayers that each of us carry within us. Our internal yearnings, our strivings, our struggles, our joys, and our despair. The beauty of creating community like this is that when we feel the trust and the support of one another, then we can show up just as we are, and we can deal with our human schmutz together as a community. So tonight, as we engage in prayer, there's silent prayer, there's the prayer of the airplanes, not sure what they're saying. There's silent prayer, there's sung prayer, there's spoken prayer. I want you to try and feel the connection between you. Listen to the voices around you. Feel the presence around you. And I want you to feel a connection inside of you to what's going on in your heart. And I also want you to try to feel a connection to this mystery, God, the great mystery of all, because that's what strengthens us to go back out into the world with renewed fullness. Ozi v'zimrat Yah, my song, my strength, and the strength that is all around will be for me my redemption. Ozi v'zimrat Yah, vayili liyeshua. Susan. Susan, join us. It's so good to have you back to light the Shabbat candles, to turn on the Shabbat candles. There, each one at the bottom. Before you turn the other one on, let's say this because we haven't said it in so long.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Cup of sweetness. I love drinking the wine, not because I love to drink wine, but because it always does remind me how sweet the potential of our lives are, just like the sweetness of the wine. Join me on what page is it? 123. It's been a long time since I've called out page numbers. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron le'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehila le'mikra'ei kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, v'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat. L'chaim. We turn now to Kabbalat Shabbat, Psalms of Praise, beginning on page 130. L'chuneranena, l'chuneranena, l'chuneranena l'Adonai. L'chuneranena, l'chuneranena, l'chuneranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria, l'tzuri shenu, nekad mafana b'toda. Naria, naria, l'tzuri shenu, Izmirat naria lo, l'chuneranena, l'chuneranena, l'chuneranena l'Adonai. L'chuneranena, l'chuneranena, l'chuneranena l'Adonai. Yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. Page 135, join me in the words of Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehad kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehad kodsho. Lechad kodsho, romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu, Lechad kodsho. Lechadodi, page 138. Just close your eyes for a moment. Think about something you hope for this Shabbat. Tonight, in the spirit of Adrian Weiss Harrison and having our books for the first time in a long time, we're going to do verse 1, 3, 8, and 9. Here we go. Lecha dodi likrat kana penei Shabbat ekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kana penei Shabbat ekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmianu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'letila. Likrat kala, penei Shabbat mekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat mekabela. Mikdash melech ir melucha, kumitzei mitoch ha'chafecha, Rav lach shevet be'amek habacha, v'hu yachamol alaychim lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat mekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat mekabela. Yamim usmo tifrotzi ve'et Adonai ta'aritzi al yad ish ben partzi v'nismicha v'nagila. Likrat kala, penei Shabbat mekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat mekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bana, Gam v'simcha u'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat mekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat mekabela. Yes, we can greet each other once again, so go say hello and Shabbat Shalom to a neighbor. Okay, turning back to our prayers, because I know we could schmooze all evening. We remain standing, turning in our Siddur to page 146.
ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. Please be seated. 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Join together atop of page 157.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. We turn now to the Amidah, our standing prayer, on page 164. I invite you to rise. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagid Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'konei Hakol Bezocher Chastei Avot V'imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מחכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Please take a seat. The Holy One said to the Jews, I have said to you, when you pray, pray in the synagogue in your city. If you cannot pray in the synagogue, pray in your field. If you cannot pray in your field, pray in your house. And if you cannot pray in your house, pray on your bed. And if you cannot pray on your bed, reflect in your heart. This midrash reminds us that opening our hearts to prayer requires nothing but the desire to let the words of pain, words of gratitude, words of hope flow from our heart. So take some time now to find your own words. עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ויאמרו אמן. יה לה 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 לה, יה לה 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 לה, יה לה 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 לה, יה ला לה 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 לה, יה לה 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 לה לה
na, 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 na,
In the wake of the building collapse in Miami, so many people who have yet to be found, those who made it through, the countless families who are struggling. Many of the people in that building were Jewish. I want to offer a piece by Debbie Perlman, Zichrona Livracha, Psalm 144 for the survivors. You sound the closing bell, Holy One, ringing through time to reshape this future, life-changing, shattering, dreams and hopes revised in an instant. Unleash the tears and anger as I offer them to you, as you take them for healing's sake, someday transforming to peace and calm. Untie me from old bitterness, from thoughts of should have been, as I find strength in your unchanging concern and take succor from the constancy of your love. We also think of all of the people in our Larchmont Temple families, our own families, perhaps ourselves, who are in need of healing, of body, of mind, of spirit. This Shabbat, we think of Alan Bogner, Harriet Lipton, Hannah Stampelman, Enid Elton, Louise Elton, Bonnie Davis, Lori Weinberg, David Goldstein, Stanley Tereski, Bob Glassman, Marty Feldner, Andy Rosenthal, Patricia Zapata, Abraham Yochanan Dov Lesser, Louis Siegel, Nate Moskowitz, Ari Fox, Keith Schoen, Barbara Peabody, June Foreman, Paul Wiggins, Jody Kahn, Joseph Spinelli, Lawrence Cohen, Susie Wolfson, Antonia Nalita Chipola, Harriet Katz, Pat Ryan, Samuel Phillip, Jerry Goldner, Ian Spear, Norton Blumberg, Terry Rossman, Julie Ross, Deb Margolin, Paul Stampelman, Scott Siegel, Greg Kellner, Daniel Foley, and George Simonoff. Please take a moment now to mention the name of anyone you might be thinking of. I introduced a new melody last week. It's a call and response, because when it comes to healing together as a community, when it comes to sharing joy together as a community, we do it in community. And so it only seems fitting to be in call and response. There are few Hebrew words come from the Torah, El na rifana la, which Moses said to Miriam, his sister who was sick. Those simple words, oh God, please heal, as we talked about last week, are really the only words that you can offer, the most important words you can offer. So I hope you will join me in this. El na rifana la, rifana lanu. Try that with me. El na rifana la, rifana lanu. Here comes the call and response. Dear God of our ancestors, help us renew our faith. Grant us a perfect healing. Bring peace to all our days. El na rifana la, rifana lanu. El na rifana la, rifana lanu. Restore our strength of body. Help clarify our minds. Refresh refresh our tired spirits, rejuvenate our light. Thank you for all these blessings throughout our days and nights. We celebrate the journey, this precious gift of life together. In the Torah portion this week, Balak, a strange and transformative phenomenon happens for the Jewish people. Words spoken by a non-Jewish prophet, meant to be a curse upon the Israelites, actually becomes a blessing. And not just any blessing, a blessing that made its way into the prayer book and one which Jews recite every day when they enter the sanctuary and a service begins. This is the story. Balaam, the minor prophet, was hired by Balak, the king of the Moabites, to curse the Israelite people. Balak saw that the Israelites had conquered the neighboring towns, and he was afraid of them taking over his land as well. After a lot of back and forth between Balak and Balaam, a crazy donkey ride, which is an entirely different drash, and more than 3 attempts to fulfill the task of cursing the people, Balaam gazes down on the Israelites from high above their encampment as they are spread out into the distance, kind of like you, and instead of cursing them, he blesses them. He says, as he watches in awe at their way of living, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkanotecha Yisrael. How good are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. The description that follows is beautiful, especially since at this point we picture the Israelites wandering in a vast desert land, like palm groves that stretch out, like gardens beside a river, like aloes planted by God, like cedars beside the water. The Mishkan of this pronouncement, Mishkanotecha, is not the Mishkan, the portable sanctuary that the Israelites have built and where the tablets are housed. The Mishkan that Balaam speaks of is the gathering place of all of the people. It's their community. It's their oasis in the desert. By definition, a sanctuary is both a consecrated place, a sacred place of worship, and it's a place of refuge. Its meaning connotes both individual, inward, and communal, outward. I think of the words of the Shaker hymn, Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary. The hymn's idea is that each one of us, each one of our living bodies is a sanctuary. Our bodies house not just our vital organs, but our soul. Our bodies are sacred, and what they are capable of doing is nothing short of miraculous. As our morning benediction of Asher Yatzar expresses, how finely woven are our arteries and veins and organs, that they work together in harmony to allow us to function and serve a greater purpose. When one thing is out of sync, we simply cannot function at our best. Thank you, Holy One, for gifting me this body. It's what this prayer says, Asher Yatzar. This, of course, speaks to the individual sanctuary, our personal refuge. I believe that our sages placed this blessing at the beginning of the service for a reason, to help us understand that while we are physically in the sanctuary, the Mishkan, it's not just about the space. It's about the people who are in it, what their stories are. It's about marrying the individual story with the communal story. The purpose of praying together is to lift our spirits together. Life often feels like a schlep through the desert. It can deplete the soul. But having prayers such as Ma Tovu Ohalecha Yaakov remind us that ultimately life is good. We are reminded to wake up, to truly appreciate the gift of life. Our struggles are not denied, but the words help us recharge. When we are in community, we share in these life struggles and joys. This is what Balaam saw, and I believe that this is the real reason that he was not even capable of cursing them. He was awestruck as he looked down, seeing the big picture from afar, that the Israelites' way of communal living was truly worthy of blessing. He saw the promise and blessing of each individual working together for the greater good. And when we sing the words of Ma Tovu Ohalecha Yaakov, we are also reminded that we are all here to strive together to make our world something holy, a sanctuary of life itself. The world needs us. We create the sanctuary for each other and help each other see all the good that there is to see. Oh Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. O Ziv Zimrat Yah, Vayhi li Yeshua. 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 Oh Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. So I don't know if you've noticed, I hope you've noticed, but I'm excited to report to you that the ark is outside, just up there, with the doors open. We were afraid to roll it down the hill. So as we turn to our concluding prayers, Lenu is on page 586. I invite you to rise as we face the open ark. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'teit gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoyei ha'aratzot, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד. Please take a seat. As we prepare to recite Kaddish, I'd like to share with you this. Somebody's upset over there. I don't know if it's the music or the ark. I share with you this reflection by Chaim Stern. When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust and the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear. But if we dwell too long on our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those around us. The psalmist said that in his affliction, he learned the law of God. And in truth, grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve and bless the living. We learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silence in their presence and when a word will assure them of our love and concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as in their higher moments they themselves wish to live. We remember them now. They live in our hearts. They are an abiding blessing. As we read the names of those loved ones for whom we are observing Yartzeit, I invite you to stand if you like so we can acknowledge your loss. On this Shabbat, we remember Hannah Hofberg, Sarah Pearl Greenbaum, William Holden, Bernard Kaufman, Eleanor Mines, Shepard Lee, Saul Elland, Donald Lewis, Gerald Schwartz, Sam Kupferberg, Mark Francis, Eric Heyman, Mark Francis, Gerald Anhouse, Rita Axelrod, Cy Levine, Gertrude M. Marcus, Philip Brooks, Nell Braverman, Margaret Peggy Santalone, David Cohen, Dora Gaba, Maxine Nathan, Celia Heimowitz, Jack Adler, Herbert Auslander, Florence Cram, Eva Gruber-Sporn, Samuel Marcus, Marcus Franklin, Mary Schlossman, Mildred Baumstein, Carrie Froelich, Sylvia Bernstein, Minna Kalos, Ida Luftig, Seymour Levy, Jacob Salzman, Beatrice Greenwald, Linda Schwartz, Seal Aaron Samuels, Samuel Gromit, Evelyn Sherbany, Vivian Klepper, Richard Braverman, and Samuel Rothman. And we especially think of the members of our Larchmont Temple community who are in the period of Shloshim. Our hearts and prayers are with all of you. Stephen Battaglia, son of Dolores Battaglia. Julian Hertz, father of Stephanie, Jennifer, grandfather of David, Maddie, Nikki, and Sammy. Saul B. Cohen, husband of Miriam, father of Louise and Deborah, father-in-law of Donald and Oded, grandfather of Amir, Talia, Noah, Emma, Annie, Jesse, and Sophie. Sylvia Engelson, grandmother of Beth Metzendorf. Ron Glassberg, husband of Ina, father of Rhonda, father-in-law of Jeffrey, father of Mark, and father-in-law of Emily. And Ian Fredman, cousin of Louise Elton. And we remember the victims of the horrible tragedy in Miami. I invite you to stand together as a community as we join in words of Kaddish on page 598.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba. Be'alma tivrach erute ve'anlich malchute. B'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imiru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar v'yit aleh v'yit halal. Shemei d'kudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiram be'alma v'imiru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imiru. Amen. Ose shalom bimromav. Huya aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imiru. Amen. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for blessing. So I see we have a president standing out there. Would you like to come and offer some announcements? That would be great.
This was unplanned. I was a little late because I first watched the Mets tie it, and I said that if they tied it, I was going to come. And then when Cantor said, think of something, I said I'd like them to win in the extra innings, and they won. So all good. You have time to get home for the second game. Shabbat shalom. Thank you, Cantor, for leading us in a beautiful service. I loved when the birds were singing back and forth. The dogs, got a little out of control. We have Hevra Torah tomorrow at the usual time. And tomorrow night, I think the weather is going to cooperate for our garden concert. So all of you who are attending, I hope you're looking forward to it as much as I am. I don't really have many other announcements, but everybody should enjoy their summer as we finally get to the summer months. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And thank you, John.
Thank you, Jonathan. Just keep a lookout for our temple communications, because we do have several gatherings this summer that we're going to do that are a little bit on the newer side as we come back together. So, be on the lookout. We join together our voices, Ozi v'zimratia. Please stand. Ozi v'zimratia, vayhi li Yeshua, Ozi v'zimratia, vayhi li Yeshua, Ozi v'zimratia, vayhi li Yeshua, Ozi v'zimratia, vayhi li Yeshua. Shabbat shalom, everyone.